Welcome everyone to today's webinar from STEM to Stars, which is organized in occasion of the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. I'm very happy to see so many participants, and I thank you very much for joining us for this event. My name is Laura Bettiol, and I'm the moderator. Just a couple of words. I've been a member of Women in Aerospace for about 8 years, and I'm part of the committee of the local group of Rome. In my daily job, I'm a research scientist and project manager at FOTEC in Austria, near Vienna, where I focus on electric propulsion. First of all, I would like to thank Women in Aerospace Europe, and in particular the local group of Rome, for making this event possible and for supporting its realization. The local group of Rome organizes events within the series From STEM to Stars since 2020. And this is the first one that we organize for this year. We are planning several other events of the series for the rest of the year, and we really hope that you and many others will be there as well in the next ones. All our invited guests are representatives of the international aerospace and STEM fields who left or are currently leaving a substantial mark in our sector, and who are contributing to make it a better and more gender equal place. With these events, we want all Women in Aerospace members to meet these outstanding guests who have a lot of experience and also many stories to share with us. We hope that this event will inspire you and will be for you an occasion to hear about other people's experiences and to exchange some ideas. So before diving into the core of this webinar, I just want to give you a couple of instructions. So I would just kindly ask you to keep your cameras and microphone off during the first part of the event. And then if you have any questions for our guest, for Annamaria, please write them in the chat and we will go through them during the Q&A session later. So for today's webinar, as you know, we have the pleasure to have with us Annamaria Nassisi. I'll just introduce her very quickly. She started her career with a master's degree in physics and geophysics at the University La Sapienza in Rome. Later on, she became commercial responsible for new hardware software integrated products as software analyst. Since 1989, she has worked in the space sector at Thales Alenia Space. And over the years, she has had many roles in systems engineering, marketing, and management in a national, European, and international environment. She actively works in national and European working forums and groups as a member and or a chairperson for different topics. And she has been part of the major European programs since the beginning. She's a free lecturer for the International Master on Capacity Building at La Sapienza and mentor for students and young professionals. She has been a member of Women in Aerospace Europe since 2013, Director of Communication in 2015 to 2018, and Chair in 2018 to 2021. And today, she is co-leader of the Rome Local Group. And since October 2021, she's also President of the Rome branch of FIDAPA Business Professional Women Italy, where she was awarded the Leader Award in 2018. So, welcome, Annamaria. I'm happy to have you here with us today, and I want to start the conversation with a couple of questions. So today is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science that aims to recognize the role of women and girls in science, not only as beneficiaries, but also as agents of change. What does it mean to you, and what do you think will be the biggest benefits of having full and equal access to and participation in science for women and girls?
Thank you very much, Laura, for the great presentation. And I will start with a brief storytelling, because in order to, it's difficult to represent all in terms of experience, but we can, just a moment. I'm proud to be here in this important day devoted to the women and girls in science. That is a very, very important day. And I will start by telling you why a girl like me has chosen this field. First of all, we can start from when I was baby. And when I was baby, I liked to take everything apart, dolls included, to understand their mechanism. This is the first element that is characterize my choice in the future. Second element is the mathematics, because the mathematics was a game and my passion, and mainly attract me its universal language. And I was 10 years old when I see the first human feet settle down on the moon. And I was fascinated about this event by remaining during the night wake in order to see this fantastic event. And which are the main keywords? I can resume that at the end is the game, because I always say that my job is a game for me. And another important keyword is the curiosity and passion, because the curiosity will allow you to investigate and to learn more. And also the challenges together with the knowledge that is very important, is the feeling that is remained me on this night of July 20. For what concerns my study, I start with physics and civics study, as you said, Laura. And with this was the first approach with the satellite, because in my thesis I have studied a thermodynamic for a irreversible process, and the target was to demonstrate the presence of water embedded in the moisture of a silicate structure for the planet Venus. Why Venus? Because Venus has the same physical characteristics in terms of the dimension and the possibility to attract the atmosphere. And the theory was that when decrease the value of CO2, there is a mechanism that can provide the free water on the planet. That this is my dream. That perhaps we can demonstrate in the future. And I continue as a research fellow to study, applying this study also for the Campi Flegrei, that is an area in the south of Italy, close to Napoli, in order to study the evolution of the phenomena. But in 1986, I decided to leave the university, because I was in my first objective was to be independent and to continue to work for the university. At that time, it is not so easy, and it created a dependence from my parents for a long time. And it was, anyway, a very interesting experience in the software by checking a new product like synthetic board that was perhaps the new generation doesn't know that the old PC was included a set of board where you can change and insert in order to read automatically the what you write. And I worked also on imaging for nuclear resonance magnetic, and the first jukebox for optical disc. The dimension of optical disc was very, very big. It's not like what we have today. And based on this experience, I decided to coming back on what I wanted to study, that was the remote sensing. And again, the keyword was curiosity, passion, and knowledge. I started my experience as a system engineer with the first military program for the Earth observation, that was Helios. By managing a subsystem devoted to the first level of image. And it was a very interesting school at the European level. And later on, there was an important, very important milestone, because born my child. And I coming back to work with the difficulty that all women lives when I come back after this event, and I have to in the situation to start again, because coming back, I have again to demonstrate my competence and my knowledge. But it was very interesting, because I was involved in the radar altimeter of Envisat for the part relevant to the instrument AJSC, that is a part that needed to test the instrument. And I am very proud to define the first document requirement for this typology of instrument. Later on, I continue in the part of the ground segment for EUMETSAT, for the METOP European Polar System as a chief designer. Also, for what concerns the navigation, I was involved at the beginning for EGNOS, that was the first navigation system with the augmentation of the signal for GPS, the American GPS, and the Russian GLONASS. And in addition, I was the responsible of all Italian return. And in the years, in parallel, I have done other element that has born to me the idea of the product that is anticipated the respective time, because we speak in the last 10 years about the product in the space domain. And defining the first product that is for the ground segment relevant to the real-time data ingestion system that include synchrotron format that I use generally to read the data signal in CCTDS format until the software component that store the data on disk. Other element product was eSIM, innovative slope in instability mapping system. This is a very nice because I remember always when today we speak about the new technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. And I remember that I used the artificial intelligence in 1999 for this product, but at that time the data available was very few and the costs were very high. So as always in the technology, there is the right time that we follow the technology trend in order to go on. And we see together, today that there is a large use of artificial intelligence for what concerns the Earth observation. And another element was LIMES, that is the first project defined for Copernicus services project, and it been happen in the bridge where there was the joint venture with Alcatel. And not only that, Finmeccanica, today Leonardo, has acquired Telespazio, and Telespazio is lead the LIMES because devoted to the services, and defined the DUMA, that was a dual use and a multi-level access layer that was very important to guarantee security on the data. And for what concerns the program, I don't list all of the program that I managed during these years, but a particular one that is Archeo, devoted to recognition and conservation of archaeological sites. Because first of all, it's not a satellite program, but we have an airborne platform, and was my success because in this program there was some problem devoted to the fact that you have a different requirement for safety on airborne respect to the satellite. And there was, with the updating of all aeronautical regulation, there was the possibility to embark this new instrument with a very large antenna for pilot security. And a lot of men at that time, that was a program manager, has failed because we have to return all the investment to our customer that was demure. Instead, I demonstrated that we have developed a fantastic instrument as at the top from a technological point of view, with the satisfaction of our customer, and demonstrated that we cannot embark only for limitation due to the regulation. And later on, I decided to change again after my experience of a head of engineering unit for leading the activity relevant to business development. And these are the years there is born the GMS, that the major part of you now knows today as Copernicus. But I don't know if all of you know that the GMS, when started, was devoted only to the services, because the idea is to integrate all the source in order to supply the right information to the final users. And there is a heterogeneous system, because take into account also in situ, airborne, and satellite data. And later on in these years, I lead an important European study named ERSIS, where I was at the beginning of the definition of what you already know in our European context, that are Terrasar, Cosmos Skymed, Pleiad, and so on. And in this project was involved all the industrial actor. All of the people are around the table, and it has been a precursor because we defined a complete system together, the space segment, the ground segment, until supply of the services for the different application, and including also a business model, and was very, very challenging. And only in 2003, with José Achach, that was at that time the director of Earth observation for the European Space Agency, we started with the idea of the satellite, namely Sentinels, for the GMS. That later on is taken the name of Copernicus, and today is a very challenging program that supply services for the final user in a lot of application that can be elaborated with a fleet of satellite in the different SAR component, but not only, but also in optical, multispectral, and so on. And we was at the beginning in the 2001, 2002, also for the first step of Earth observation export. And there was the years where we speak about the big trend of Earth observation for $2 billion for selling data, because we don't speak about services at that time. The main business was relevant to the data. And I lead also the part of Cosmos Skymed, that also was not operative. We was only at the beginning, in order to understand which could be the possible commercial step together with institutional. And so in the years, I followed all the initiative relevant to the Earth observation as a part of also international committee and so on. And there was the Earth observation business development manager. Another initiative that has been born in these years was relevant to the space situation awareness and security. That was very important. As I said, from a European community, that we have security in space and from space. And I was in charge of business development for initiative for security. Until arrive at the end by different role as marketing intelligence, that at that time was the first step. Nobody knows what does it mean market intelligence, and was a very challenge to have this team, to lead my team, and to build this first step. And I support my at managerial level in terms of organization, strategy, with the strategic business plan and so on. My CEO of Thales Alenia Space Italia. And later on, I was in charge of a strategic marketing in the marketing sales department. Until today, that I am responsible of space economy for observation and navigation. I'm very proud of the last satellite that we launched for the second generation of Cosmos Skymed, that is a constellation of SAR satellite, and is at the top at the worldwide level, and has been launched from the Falcon 9 on February 1st, and was a very big emotion to see this launch, and also to see to the landing of the first stage of the Falcon 9 was fantastic. And we have already the first image of our satellite that is functioning with data, but anyway is not operative because we have the commissioning phase before to become operative. And so we speak about the challenge, and I'm very proud to be part of a challenge space industry today. And we live this storytelling about my experience in the space sector, and I wanted to speak about you on the perspective for the STEM. I am convinced that what is essential to increase the presence of the women in the STEM is to invest and to act in the field of education and culture. And this is important starting from the primary school to reduce the sense of inadequacy towards the mathematics. Mathematics is a fundamental for all the STEM discipline. And sometimes this is the main reason why the girl doesn't continue the choice in this discipline. And another element that is very important is it's breaking down the prejudice that are the main obstacle of the success of women in the scientific subject. And I think that this day is very, very important because this is a real goal that we cannot longer be postponed. And I remember that we are the 50% of all human present on the earth. And why we cannot be the 50% of the STEM jobs? In order, and I think it is our commitment to stimulate the new generation. And we are living what has been defined as a digital era. Digital area where there is a strong male predominance in the new discipline like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, big data, and so on. And we speak in the space economy about the contamination of the information technology in the space context. And the digital transformation became the key also for the space. And digital area will represent, in my opinion, a working future in which women cannot be missing. And it's important because we can introduce innovation. And mainly I'm totally convinced that it is important to increase the presence of the women in the middle management. not only in the CEO level that is what we can show in a few cases, but what is important is a strong presence in the middle management, because is in this moment that we can teach and train all the new generation. And another element that I am firmly convinced that we have not to forget that we are women. And all our characteristics, like intuition, like listening, and our capacity also on training of the lead team. So I'm convinced that it's important to go on with a female role model, not in antagonism with the male, but is complementary. And the female role model could be also, we hope, in the future, and the right model also for the men. I have finished my first storytelling, very brief, in order to leave space to the question and answer. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Annamaria. Thank you very much for your presentation and also your inspiring words. I have prepared a couple more questions for you, so you can also tell us a bit more about other activities that you do in your that you carry out in parallel to your main job. For example, being part of different volunteering organizations. This is also very important, and I know that, and also I mentioned it before, you have also been in leadership positions in such organizations. Can you tell us a little bit more about this, and what is the most important thing that you learned being part of them?
I think that there isn't a time that in which you can say that I know. I think that every day you can learn, and all the environment are stimulating to learn. You can teach, but I think that you can also learn for the different contexts if you have an open mind. This is fundamental. The mindset will condition your approach to your life, but also to your job. And I think that also the new trend of multidisciplinarity is very, very important, because it's important that you can multidisciplinary for other discipline, but not only, also multi-generational. Laura, you know very well, but also other people, that I invest on the new generation, because I believe that the future is yours. And I am convinced that there is not only of one direction in the relationship with you. I can provide you my experience. I can provide you my suggestion in a particular situation, but I can learn from you. And this is important. And I think that if we provide the right value to the diversity, which is the diversity in discipline, in geographic dimension, in generation, it's important, because the diverse approach will provide you a different way to progress, to innovate, and to be close to the also to save our health. That don't forget that we speak about the traveling for moon with Artemis, with the first women and so on, but we have to protect our health. That is very important. It's the only one planet.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, and yeah, I have another question. So this is you were just mentioning a little bit about it already, but we know that according to some studies on gender diversity, one of the reasons why young girls don't pursue a career in a scientific or technical field is the lack of women in experts to look up to. And you were also mentioning it in the minute 1 minute ago. You are basically a mentor yourself for other younger students and young professionals. Can you share a bit with us what you do, what is important for you? And you said it's also a two ways exchange. It's not only you giving advice, but yeah.
Yes, I think I am a mentor, I'm a tutor of a lot of young people, also not specialized in the STEM discipline, but sometimes they coming from law, from political science or international law and so on. And this means because also the space economy has been changed. And now is not only as I started. I remember that this field was only engineer. And I was so at that time diverse because I was a physics, not an engineer. But today I think that this is the right approach where there is involvement of other discipline because the law also in the space law is very, very important. If we speak about the part relevant to the debris, or if we speak about the space traffic management today, or any other problems that we have with the crowding of the orbital that we have today. It's very interesting to learn something. What does it mean with the magic word from the people that doesn't know closer to the development, and to teach them on job what does it mean really to build a report, to a minutes of a meeting, to perform something as a tutor. For what concerns the mentor, I'm a part of also a fantastic initiative, the European initiative titled Constellation, where young people is started in order to identify some mentor that are the reference for the young people, and they ask mainly not on to learn a discipline, but to have a suggestion, to expose which are their doubts, which are their choice that they have to do. And you can support, not performing a choice for him or for her, but only to discuss with them, and also to analyze which are the different dubs and what really they want to perform. That is the important issue that they have to analyze. And for other things, these are the mainly element that I can transfer to you.
Thanks, Annamaria. So, okay, then I would suggest we start with Q&A session. If somebody has some questions for our speaker. Let's see. Otherwise, I continue with my questions.
As you want.
Yeah. Okay. While people. Okay, we have one question. You can. Yeah. Thank
Hi,
you.
Lia. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm in my kitchen right now, so excuse me, the background is a bit funny. I just have a question because I was so inspired by your story and your background. But as you know, the sector is super competitive. There's always new changes. There's always a next generation of technology. As young professionals, how do we keep ahead of the curve? Like, how do we keep skilled? How do we keep relevant in this market, which is evolving so quickly? Thank you.
You're right. You're right, is what I said at the end of my presentation, because I am checking that a lot of opportunity now is in this transversal discipline to the space sector, where it seems strange, but today we can find easier in women in engineer than in this typology of a discipline. Instead, it's very important to understand that this is real the future. If you consider also the digital twin will be the real future for us. And at the end, if we translate all of this discipline, the core is the software, because it is implementation of the software. And I think that we have to promote day by day in order to create the awareness. Also, in this case, as in case of the STEM discipline in general, it's important to have a role model. And today we don't have so much women role model, because we experimented, for example, that there is an increase of women that has been chosen the engineering field with Samantha Cristoforetti. Perfect. But today we need of other role model, because the system, space system, is becoming more complex, and the future is what I said is a digital transformation. This is essential.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
Also, this what I see a lot of time that also in the conference there are a lot of men that ask for question, but it's difficult to find women that ask for question. Instead, I think that this is another approach that we have to learn. I learned from my commercial director that any question is good. I don't know if I have the answer or the right answer or the expected answer, but to supply, to submit a question is essential. Laura, have you any other question?
I have other questions for you.
There is a question.
Oh, perfect.
GM.
Yes, if you want, you can also turn on your camera and your microphone, and you can speak directly to Annamaria.
Hi.
Hello.
Grazie.
I'm GM. Question. So I know a little bit of history when you start your work, and I think the passion is one of the things that is important. My question is a really question. Imagine a lot of women that stay. I talk about our nation, Italy. Mm-hmm. Do you think there is a lot of work that to do for expanding the STEM? Do you think there is the work is that they do the work that must do is a lot, or do you think that is enough? Because a lot of women, I think, in a lot of parts of Italy, don't know the possibility that that we have.
No, I understand. Thanks
Understand
for the question.
well,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that we have to do a lot, because also in Italy we are at the beginning. If we have a progress respect to the past.
Yeah.
Because I remember that I started my physics study, we are very few women, and when I have the opportunity to go to the engineer, because we have to find some experiment with high temperature for my thesis, I remember that there was less women than in physics.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, is increasing, but we have to do more. And it's important also to extend this culture, not only for the young people that have already done their choice, because otherwise it's easy. You can support, but they have already performed the choice of to continue with engineer, with physics or mathematics and so on. But the main effort that we have to address is in the primary school. And I can see from the baby, not first at the beginning, because if you speak with the child, they have no perception about diversity between male and female. The diversity about also the approach on the discipline and so on is a cultural bias. What we mention is unconscious bias, and we have to break this unconscious bias, because if we start by addressing different toys for for male and female, if we are convinced that the male is better for mathematics instead for literature, it's better the female, we don't change really our society. And also a lot of the webinar that now is increasing in order to approach towards this new discipline from the school. For example, as a Women in Aerospace Rome Local Group, we have done a very interesting experience with one of them, that is Aloisa Russo. And she has proposed, the winner also in award as WIA-E Europe, to perform this teaching this discipline to the primary school, not in deeply, but to provide a global overview. And by speaking with also some professor at the university and so on, what we have analyzed that the effect is better when the approach is done from the teacher is a young people, because is close to them. Is first of all, they speak the same language. And another element that if I go at my age in the primary school, I'm far. Because anyway, I am people that are already reached the goal. Instead, when this discipline and to describe about this environment is a performance from young people, is close to their age, is more effective. Is my experience. My feedback.
And that just for to concluding another question is near the things that you say now. do you think that's important also teaching that is the way that is normally also for women? Because now that one is the problem. Because the webinar, and I think a lot of perhaps 3 or 4 months ago, we from FIDAPA to Ingegneria del Mare, you give an opportunity for 2 women. And I remember very well that one of the teachers said a lot of people don't know that one is the word and the way that a lot of women can do. But that one is another thing that is very important, because a lot of women perhaps think about that there is no way good for that. I don't know. That is my I think this just 20 years that it's normal to see women inside this kind of world, but I think in the past not was like this. Or is my imagine? I don't know.
No, it's true. It's true.
Okay.
It's true, and is what you can see a lot of a communication campaign that has been performed about the visibility of the women and what they have done. That is very important, because if you consider until not since a time ago, but also since 10 years ago, you don't have any visibility. You don't know anything about the women job. And this is a very important campaign that is a communication campaign that has been sustained in order to provide visibility. Because what I say every time, there is no limit for women. You can do everything. The important is only to choose what you like, because if you don't like what you are performing, it's more difficult to reach excellence. Because if you like, you are stimulated from curiosity, you are stimulated to learn, you are stimulating to go on. But again, this is only for the people that are already involved in this discipline. But I say again that we have to, in order to perform a real changing, we have to start from the primary school.
Yes, this is true. I agree with you, Annamaria. And is there any other questions?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
It's very interesting what you said here, because honestly, I would have thought that one of the most important moments to influence your decision will actually be high school. And I think it's a lot of ignorance in when people choose which type of university they are going to do in the last year of the school in Italy. At least this was for me. I come from Abruzzo, from Liceo Scientifico, so science high school, and there in the end, it's not that we were properly guided about what we were going to become when we were adults. It was just this is the list of the universities that you could go, and have a pick, choose. But in the end, I chose aerospace engineering, but honestly, I didn't really know what aerospace engineers would involve or what aerospace engineers actually really do. I mean, I like it because I wanted to work for something connected to space, and in the end, I was lucky that that is what I managed to do in my career. But I didn't really know what I was going to do, So maybe many people, when they have to choose a career in STEM, since they don't understand exactly what it is. So in the end, they decided to go for something else, which is more clear. So maybe I would have said that where we really have to do something about is high school, when people choose what they are going to do in the future. I don't know. What do you think about it?
No, you are totally reason, and you have to take into account also that if you want the communication for the space activity has been improved in the last years. Because in the past you didn't have any news what happened sometimes from NASA, but you don't have a real scenario like today. Every day in your TV you can learn about an event on the space. But we can propose a lot of alternatives, like what we mentioned about the mentor network could be useful. And where not only to the students that are performing already some degree, but we can define a mentor network for the primary school. Why not? And this means that it's important to have also the capacity. You cannot speak about formula and so on, but you have. It's important to have the right storytelling of the space activity. But anyway, when I teach also at the university in the engineering alla Sapienza, I noted that sometimes there is a specialistic aspect. I speak about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. But sometimes they didn't know which is a system life cycle. What does it mean? Because this is very important. I have submitted because I teaching marketing, but I asked to them, but do you know about the satellite emission life cycle? Where is the beginning and which are all of the phases until the end? And a lot of people and the student doesn't know. They know very well which is a platform. The composition of the equipment, they know very well the payload, but they didn't know about the system. And I think that we have to take care also on this aspect. It is very important. And the mentorship is the right way that could be. People like my experience or other people can transfer, because it's the same that I say every time. It's important. Today I speak about the space economy because this is my job, but I started as a system engineering. This is important because you have a different feeling, also for sales, also for commercial. If you have really experimented what does it mean, because you have done this development, your perception and also to transfer this perception to the other is much than to start directly to perform the commercial or other things. I think the mentorship network could be a solution that at the government level can be supported as an element for to promote within the primary school. It's an idea, runtime idea.
Okay, it's already 7:30. This hour went by very, very fast.
Possible for me? It's
Yeah.
possible for me to have a question?
A very quick one.
Okay, okay. Annamaria,
Yeah.
very interesting to hear your report. Then I have a question. Very interesting for me. I am an ex-teacher. Then it's possible to modify the program of higher students in order to direct students to choice of scientific university study. with an experienced mediator scientific. This is a very good time for the change to school, Italian school.
Yes, I think you know very well because you have performed in the past. Your profession was a teacher, and you know very well what does it mean to teach in the Italian school. And I think that we have to improve the teaching of scientific discipline. This is fundamental.
Yeah.
Because what I have noted that for example, the first difficulty is relevant to mathematics. Mathematics is essential, is transversal to all the scientific discipline. And if you don't have the ability to attract your student and to involve them in the knowledge, it's difficult that they will choose in the future scientific discipline. This is the real problem for Italian, because Italian studies are more humanistic oriented. That it's very important, because I'm convinced that it's important our European humanistic approach. But we have to improve the part relevant to the scientific aspect.
But I think it's necessary to have in the classroom a scientific tutor. It's very important, because the student see and hear the experience of the very real tutor. It's different to teach the material.
No, yes, is what I have answered to Stefania. That could be useful to have a network of mentor, people that consolidated experience, that can transfer the real environment. What does it mean to work in the researcher for biology or other on physics, or to work in the space, or to work in any discipline relevant to the STEM? Could help. Why not?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Annamaria.
Grazie, Antonio.
Okay. I'm very sorry that we have to close this event. It's already 7:34. Yeah, thanks, Annamaria, again. This was very, very interesting. Also, the last part with the Q&A, it was really inspiring, and there were many important details and many a lot of information and a lot of tips also for teachers and mentors and so on. So thank you, and thanks also to all of you for participating in this event and for your questions and contribution. In Women in Aerospace in Rome, we are very happy to see a lot of interest in our events, and we also look forward to seeing you in the next ones. You can find all our all the information about our events in the website, and of course on Facebook and on Instagram. Thanks a lot. Thanks again. And
thanks to you, Laura. Thanks to all that has remained until now for listening. And I suggest to visit the Instagram of Women in Aerospace Rome Local Group, because you can discover a lot of projects that they have developed for the STEM, not only, but for the diversity. And there is also a campaign, We Men, where it's important to start with a complementary approach between women and men. That is important. I am very happy because I'm seeing this changing in the new generation, and I'm proud that we have also in our group a lot of young men.
That's
Thank
true.
you to all.
Thank you, everyone, and have a nice evening and nice weekend.